Hi there. My name's Dr. Brinen. I'm an assistant professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Today what we're going to do is we're going to focus in on a nice, simple intervention to help individuals start to shift their beliefs about the control they have over their voices, their auditory hallucinations. It's an intervention called Look, Point, Name. So, voice hearing is not the problem. So we need to start with the idea that if a person has an auditory hallucination, that's actually not a problem. People can live their lives, walk through the world, be butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, hear voices on a regular basis and have no problem whatsoever. What ultimately starts to increase people having problems with voices is some of the beliefs that they have about voices. And then their accompanying behaviors can exacerbate some of those problems. So today we're going to focus in on one of the beliefs. The idea that the individual sees themselves as having no control over when the voices come and go, right? The idea that the voices come and go as they please. As a result, that person oftentimes will isolate, avoid going out because they don't want to look foolish, have people judge them, and also the stress that they might be experiencing hearing the voices out in public. The problem is this creates a vicious cycle. So if I hear a voice, if I believe I have no control over the voice and when it comes and goes, I might isolate. Isolation makes the voice hearing experience go up. The other thing is that voice hearing can be stressful for some people, right? And what do you think happens the more stressed you are? Do the voices go up or down? Right. When you feel stress, voices go up, which is pretty stressful, which makes a person hear the voices some more. They hear the voice. If they believe I have no control over when the voices come and go, I isolate. When I isolate, am I more likely or less likely to hear the voices? More likely to hear the voices, which again then increases the stress, increases the voice hearing, increases the stress some more, and around it goes, right? So it creates this vicious cycle that reinforces itself. So the rationale of how we can go after this is starting to use a refocusing approach, right? We're not going to have people distract from the voices because that's not very helpful, right? When we encourage people to distract, they can actually become quite depressed. Research was done on this by Gillian Haddock back in the 1980s, that when we teach people to distract themselves, they can actually become quite depressed because they kind of feel like that's the only control they have. But think about it, any technique that helps an individual refocus from the voice into things that they want to do will reduce some of the distress that they have. Things like stress, fear, frustration, anger, and other distressing emotions can block activity. But the more active we are, the less time we have for those things in our minds. And ultimately will help us combat those experiences and really, in the end, achieve the aspirations that we have in our lives. So there's lots of ways that we look at refocusing. Pat Deegan, who's a wonderful psychologist and worker, she calls it personal medicine, which I think is such a beautiful term to think about. But here's some just really simple things that people can do. Listening to headphones, putting on headphones, listening to music, or listening to podcasts, singing, speaking under your breath, doing some focused eating, things like mindfulness, things like 5 senses, even just counting backwards. But today what we're going to talk about is a nice little technique that we call look, point, name. So look, point, name is a nice, simple technique. It's helped lots of people who have heard voices in the past and can find it helpful. So I'm going to start by asking the person, how loud are your voices right now on a scale of 0 to 10? 0 is you don't hear them at all. 10 is that they're really, really loud. So are you willing to try a really silly game? It's called Look, Point, Name. It's helped lots of people who have heard voices in the past, but it's kind of silly. You willing to give it a shot? Cool. It actually is exactly the way it sounds. All you're going to do is look, point, name. So for example, whiteboard. Here, you try. Ooh, good. Coffee cup. Nice, that's a good one. Tea. Good. Glasses. How loud are your voices now? Huh, so they went down just by playing this little silly game. So that's really the way that the intervention sounds when we do it. And so really you have the individual continue to name items around them until they run out of them, or if you've gone for a little while, just seeing what's the impact, right? What's the first number that they give you and the last number. You don't want to give them the number back because ultimately you're going to sort of seed them from where they began, but just seeing how loud the voices are. If it's helpful, you can keep trying it again and again. But you're really helping them notice that, one, the voices went down, and then start thinking about trying that other times and seeing the times that it might be useful to do this exercise other times. A couple things that you want to make sure that the individual does, right? They want to be naming those things out loud. It sort of is based off of this idea of like what my mom always told me, you can't talk and listen at the same time. You want them focusing on things around them. Sometimes when you do that, like I just did it with you guys, the individual will start naming the things that you're pointing at and then just encourage them. Oh, here, you choose something else. So it's having somebody practice together with you. There's some people when they come in, because they're talking to you, they might not be hearing the voices while you're with them. A nice simple way to bring the voices on, so you can practice bringing the voices on and then making them go away. Have the individual recall the last time the voices were heard. Imagine it with great detail and vividness, and have them revisit that moment. And then just have them sit and imagine it quietly. About 30 to 60 seconds, they should start hearing the voices. And at that point, you can practice look, point, name. Some of the conclusions you want somebody to draw, you want them to go out and try look, point, name other times for them. Starting to notice I can do certain things to make the voices quieter, and things that I can do that make them louder, actually. They want to start thinking about the idea that I might have some control over the voices. And they can start looking for what Daniel Freeman in the Feeling Safe program refer to as the good spots and the hot spots, but just times when the voices are less and the voices are more, and really aiming at this idea that maybe I have some control over the voices. I hope this was helpful, a nice little bite to get you there. That's look, point, name. And please let me know if there's any other interventions you'd like to see. Have a great day. Again, my name's Dr. Brinen, and I'm at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, and good luck out there.